Okay, so we're moving on to our favorite topic, maliciousness. So we're on the 3 mental non-virtues, and this is the second. And this is planning to hurt others and maybe take revenge, things like that. So it's thinking about harm, thinking and planning harm. This could come up for many reasons. We might just have plain old hatred or wanting revenge, or we could be competing with people and be rivals. Or we could hold a grudge against somebody, and maybe if they've apologized, we haven't really been able to let go of our anger. So we still have this energy inside where we want to hurt others. So using the branches that we were talking about related to karma, the object is any sentient being, and then the kind of the harder parts are the next ones, because it's like one thought flowing into the next. But the complete intention, we recognize the being for who they are, and we recognize that we could hurt them, that they could be hurt if we carry out our plans. And our intention is a wish to harm, and then the affliction is anger. And the kind of thinking that might be going on at that time would be something like, wouldn't it be nice if they had some misfortune? I wish I could get my revenge. It's not so well developed yet, but it's, if it has enough fuel, it will go on to the action, which is next. And that looks really good. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to harm this person. It's kind of weird to think about your mind thinking this way. When Venerable has talked about this in the past, Venerable Children, I've always kind of reacted like, I don't have revenge. I don't have this. But that's not the case. Your mind, I don't get to the planning for things that I usually recognize. The completion is we start to think about exactly how we're going to do it, and our intention becomes very firm. So at that point we say, I'm really going to get this guy, and this is how I'm going to do it. And so that's when it's complete. The thought is complete at that point. And so it's a flow of thoughts, and I actually do find that this doesn't come up so much for me, but I can recognize things that, like I don't see myself as planning revenge very often, but I can recognize things in my mind that I don't categorize that way that actually fall into this. So I think you have to kind of look, because I don't really think I have that revenge in me. But then, you have a thought that comes by, they deserve that, or something like that, You just have to find how it comes in your mind. So with both this maliciousness and also the previous one we talked about coveting, it's not just a passing thought. Those don't rank as coveting or maliciousness. It's really something that we've put energy into, and really to have it full blown, we've really thought about it. And that's why it's important that we catch our afflictions early, and we're always trying to recognize them early so we can kind of cut them before they, get a lot of energy behind them, and it just gets harder and harder. And so things that start more mildly can, if you're thinking in a certain way, it always goes down the same path. You have to change your thinking for the result to change. That's one thing I did learn in this, I was living here. If I think the same way, it always comes out the same. And so what's not really happening in your mind then, for this one in particular, but it's actually true for all of the mental factors, and I think for me I can understand it mostly in the first 9, is that you're really not considering others, and you're not holding on to your integrity. And so, when they talk about integrity, they're talking about a kind of a self-respect, where we have values that we want to live by. And it's a really, really great thing to focus on, because we can't always live up to them, but we can, when we see ourselves going aside, we can pull ourselves back and say, no, that's not what I want to do. And we can feel quite good about about our values, and this respect that we give ourselves for that. And integrity can really be a very helpful force in your practice, as well as consideration for others, where in both of these we're not going to harm we're going to stop any harm. But the first one is because of our own values that we have, and the second is because we're considering, we don't want to harm others. So this thought process that kind of goes along and plans and finally comes up to these complete actions. This is what in a court of law they might call premeditated. This is how you get there. It's the premeditated part of any crime. So, because once these thoughts go this way, a lot of them turn into actions like the stealing, killing, the actions of the body or the speech. So, let's see. So the result, similar to the cause for maliciousness, is that you feel guilty. So why would that be? Well, it's kind of basically, what is your mind doing when you're being malicious? You're thinking of harming others. You're thinking about inflicting harm in some way. Somehow the person's going to feel miserable. And what happens is that kind of turns on yourself, and we turn the maliciousness on ourselves in a way, and we want to check out. And we feel guilty about what we're thinking about. And what it also can lead to is things like fear, paranoia. This is what I recognize, suspicion, ill at ease. Because sometimes I find I'm fearful or ill at ease. And I actually, in this retreat, once I was thinking, wow, your mind goes to kind of like a kind of suspicion. And so this was helpful for me to learn about, because it's like, wow, this is just the result of something I've done in the past. Makes my mind a little set up to be more fearful in certain situations or not trusting as easily. And so this is what you get. So it's helpful to understand it, because then you can reverse it. And so I just want to finish with this one quote that I find quite helpful for sorting my way through this. And this is from Geshe Sopa. And he says, the most important thing to do in the beginning is to take refuge in the three jewels. This is the way to enter deeply into the teachings of the Buddha. The next step is to examine causality, drawing from examples from your own experience until you are convinced that positive actions result in happiness and non-virtue leads to unhappiness. Strong trust in the relationship between cause and effect is the basis for living a life of virtue and engaging in spiritual training. To obtain happiness and to avoid misery, you have to accumulate their causes, practicing virtue and eliminating non-virtue. That's important to remember. What are the causes of happiness? You don't usually go to practicing virtue and eliminating non-virtue. It's not our first thought. Watch your mind and see. And then he goes on to say, but it's not easy to control your actions. It requires great mental and physical effort. If you do not have confidence in the truth and the benefits of the practice, you will not be able to change your attitude and behavior. This is why faith or confidence in karmic causality is the root of all happiness, from worldly joy up to the bliss of supramundane happiness, liberation, and enlightenment. Let's go do it.